Hi guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. With the changes to elements that have happened in Warframe, we're going to be looking at the possible best elements against Grineer. Now, I'm going to do other videos for the other factions, but the information gathering to produce this video, even though this video might not be very long, the information and gathering for this video was about 4 to 5 hours. So I can't do all of the factions in one video. So I'm going to kind of have like a 3 or a 4 or a 5-part series for all the different factions. So, okay. So we're going to go over anti-Grineer elements. So for the 3 that we're looking at today, the first one is obvious. It's going to be corrosive. Corrosive has always been the anti-Grineer element. The next one is going to be viral. Viral has always competed against corrosive as being the possible best anti-Grineer element, although corrosive is usually the best pure anti-Grineer. Viral is just a good general element that even when you face Grineer, as long as you're fighting other factions, it can sometimes be better than corrosive. And then the third element we're checking is going to be the blast element, and it's because blast was changed heavily. So with the rework to elements, not much has changed with viral. Corrosive itself was kind of changed in a roundabout way where the scaling of enemy armor was changed, and so corrosive works a little bit better because of that. And for blast, there was a lot of stuff that changed for blast. So blast, I'm going to actually just have to show that because there's a lot to it. So first, let's go into the thing here. I just want to show blast off. I'm going to kind of read it here, and then I'm going to show it in the simulacrum. So blast deals 30% of base damage after 1.5 seconds. And then it says as an explosion. That's confusing. It doesn't actually explode. So forget that part. So this is kind of, just think of this as a dot, but this dot only does 1 tick. So after 1.5 seconds, it's going to get a tick of damage, and then it's going to go away. So 30% of its base damage. At 10 stacks, or when the enemy dies, and the enemy doesn't have to have 10 stacks when he dies. If he dies with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those stacks deal their damage simultaneously to enemies within a 5-meter radius, and also staggering them. So this is where it actually explodes. Okay, so when the target dies, or when you reach that 10 stacks, is when you actually get the explosion effect that is affecting enemies within 5 meters. Now, this will do damage to them. It'll do the same thing, 30% of base damage. But in the simulacrum, it seems a little bit bugged. So in the simulacrum, you're going to notice that they just get staggered. They don't actually take damage. But in gameplay, they do take damage. I did all of my testing in gameplay. I did not do testing in the simulacrum. So I'm just using the simulacrum to show the testing I did off. So we'll show blast off here. It'd probably be good if I have an enemy in front of me. Okay, so let's just get like 1 or 2 blast procs on them first, and we'll show how that works. 2, boop, 2 numbers. Okay, let's try get another one here. 2 numbers. So every blast proc after 1.5 seconds is going to produce an instance of damage. Remember, just kind of think of it as a dot, but it only ticks 1 time. So 1 blast proc, 1 tick of damage. 4 blast procs, 4 ticks of damage. Oh my goodness. Okay. So now we're going to do the thing where we get up to 10. And remember, this also happens if you kill them, but these are the big giant exo-ghost stags, so I won't be able to kill them here. But let's get up to 10, and you're going to notice everyone around them is going to get staggered within a 5-meter radius. Now, in actual gameplay, they'll also take damage. It's just in the simulacrum, for some reason, it's a little bit bugged. Oh my goodness, look, they got staggered there. Okay, let me just dump them into them, and you see it keeps happening, it keeps happening, it keeps happening. And that's because once you get to 10, it resets to 0, and you can just keep going up and keep causing the explosion over and over and over again. Alrighty. So that's how the blast works. Now, this is going to turn into like a school PowerPoint presentation at this point, but I kind of want to show all the testing and my conclusions of the testing off. So we'll go over what I used for a weapon for this test first, which is actually right in my hands here. I needed to have a weapon that was kind of like a blank slate, an average weapon that didn't have anything weird or crazy about it. If I look at the Prismagrokita, and I go to a blank config here, let me just go back out and in. The Prismagrokita has impact, puncture, slash, so it has full IPS, and they are normal values. There's not like one that's 5 million and the others are like 2. So very normal IPS. It's got normal status. It's not a heavy status weapon. It's not a poor status weapon. It is average status, average IPS. Everything about the Prismagrokita is extremely average, and that's what I wanted. So the other thing I needed to do was I needed to strip any mods that had a little bit too much deviancy. So I didn't want to use Galvanized Aptitude because that would change maybe kills that I were getting. Like maybe some damage would be a lot more on a target and some damage would be a lot less. So I took off Galvanized Aptitude. I put Serration instead because that's just a kind of a constant plus damage mod. I kept on Scope and I kept on Deadhead because for me it's very easy to get headshot kills, so I can just stay at 5 stacks. But for other people it might be harder. But these were very easy for me to keep at max stacks, and so the consistency was fine for those. So that's what I had to do. Now, what did I do to test? I wanted to test Corrosive versus Viral versus Blast. And I did that on Steel Path, Kuva Survival. I did 5 runs for each element, 5 minutes. So a 5-minute run, each element, 5 times. And I did that with the Prismagrokita. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything there. So we will get into the first PowerPoint here. You ready? Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, it's working. Okay, so the Prismagrokita, it's a low alpha damage weapon. So what does that mean? That means it deals high DPS, but each individual bullet is really low damage. That's going to be important when we talk about blast procs. So these are the kill counts for the 5-minute runs. So we'll start with Corrosive since Corrosive did the best out of all these. So Corrosive is 363, 297, 300, 312, and 359 for a total of 1,631 kills in their 5 runs. So Corrosive was the top one there. Viral was next. Viral got 284, 289, 320, 322, and 330 for a total of 1,545 kills in its 5 runs. So Viral and Corrosive are very close, and that was something I just kind of wanted to point out, is that Corrosive, now looking at this, we are looking at the elements, right? We're not saying that, oh, well, Corrosive with 2 shards can be a lot better, because you could say the same thing with Viral. Well, Viral building for slash would be a lot better. So this is just without externals. Without externals, Viral and Corrosive are very, very close. I would have expected maybe Corrosive to do a lot better, especially versus Grineer. Because if I had to redo these tests, maybe I get unlucky on Corrosive and I get more lucky with Viral, and maybe Viral wins out, or maybe Corrosive still wins, but they're just very, very similar. Okay, next we have Blast here. Blast got 234, 237, 239, 210, and 200 for a total of 1,120. This was not close. Blast was very bad compared to Corrosive and Viral. Now remember, we're doing this on the Grokita. Grokita is low alpha damage. So what is, talking about what we just talked about with the Blast, it does 30% of the base damage when it explodes. So when it does explode with the Grokita, you're not really getting that much AoE effect out of it. And because of that, I wasn't really happy with these tests. I said, okay, well, for a machine gun, Blast is not very good. So maybe I want to do this test again, and I want to do it with a higher alpha damage weapon. I want to take, instead of the Grokita, maybe I'll take like a rifle in that's a bit slower, but does more upfront damage. And so I had to do the same thing. Let me go back to the gameplay here. I had to do the same thing. I had to look for an average rifle that wasn't crazy. It didn't have like weird, crazy crap about it. So I settled with the Prisma Grinlock. So this is the Prismagrokita. I'm going to switch over. Prisma Grinlock. It's a basic average, like lever action rifle. It has good DPS, just like the Grokata does, except it gets its DPS through slower but high damaging attacks. I needed to look for, a weapon that had average stats as well. So we look at this, and we're kind of comparing it to the Grokata. The only thing I wish the Grinlock had that the Grokata did have, which was a smoother IPS stats. So this one, the puncture is much lower than the slash and impact, but other than that one stat, it's okay. Everything else was normal about it. I did have to switch up the critical chance mod because I was using Deadly Sequence, which is the 200% crit chance mod that the Grinlock can use. But I did not want to trigger the Syndicate effect because that would affect the outcome of the testing. So I just formatted in Critical Delay. I'll have to format out of Critical Delay to put Deadly Sequence back on. Okay, so we did the test again. Same exact thing. 5 runs, Steel Path, Kuva Survival, except this time we're using the Grinlock, which is much slower. Alrighty, let's pull up PowerPoint slide number 2. Here we go. Oh my goodness, there it is. Okay, Prisma Grinlock, high alpha damage. So kill counts for 5-minute runs. Look at this, Blast. It went from being the worst in the Grokata list to being well above Viral and Corrosive. So Blast number 1 with 373, 364, 353, 353, and 350. So very consistent with those numbers there. And in total, it got 1,793 kills in the 5 runs we did. And this is going to be because when it does blow up, it's doing 30% of the base damage, and the base damage from bigger weapons causes a bigger explosion with more meaningful damage. So I think that's why Blast was way better in this the second run here. Viral came in second with 314, 307, 296, 347, and 312 for a total of 1,576 kills. And Corrosive came in third with 295, 265, 330, 276, and 284 for a total of 1,450. Again, Corrosive and Viral aren't very far away from each other. If I was to redo this test, and I got lucky while playing with Corrosive here, I might possibly beat Viral because they're only about 100 off. But this didn't surprise me with the slower firing weapon, because on slower firing weapons, you're not producing as many status effects. And if you only have one Corrosive proc, what does it do? Not much. You kind of need a few Corrosive procs before it actually does something meaningful. Well, what does one Viral proc do? One Viral proc gives you 100% damage to health. So one Viral proc compared to one Corrosive proc is way more valuable. So on a slower firing weapon, even against Anti-Grineer, I kind of knew Viral was going to win there. So what do we think about this? We now know that it is kind of weapon dependent. If your weapon is a high alpha damage weapon, there's a good chance Blast might actually be your best stat against Grineer. If it's a low alpha damage weapon, probably not. It's probably going to remain either putting Corrosive or Viral on. If you like using Corrosive, if you're the kind of person that puts the green Archon shards to have it full strip, then Corrosive will probably be better. If you don't like doing that stuff, then Viral probably will be better. So yeah, weapon dependent here. Now, keep in mind, this is without externals, right? I didn't use Archon shards to increase the Corrosive. I didn't go crazy with Slash to increase Viral. I didn't do anything too crazy with Blast to increase it. This was also versus Grineer, so I'm going to have other videos against the other factions coming out. And this was versus Trash. So against heavier enemies, even though the Blast did better on this Grinlock here, against heavier enemies, Viral and Corrosive will probably still be better. So when you go up against, like, let's say the Acolyte or Thraxes, things like that, Corrosive and Viral are still going to be better than Blast. But against Trash and Grineer Trash, Blast is better with a high alpha damage weapon. So I think that's pretty much it. Again, this is not a very long video, but the actual information gathering took me a very long time. So I appreciate you guys sitting in and watching and listening to me run my mouth here. If you guys like the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I'll have those other videos out, guys. I'll probably do one tomorrow, and I'll probably do the one the next day. I kind of switched up what I was going to do. I was going to do other builds this week, but because of the new changes, I was like, I probably should kind of cover them. So, okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye.